Hey everyone, I'm Nightsend. I'm here with Dignitas Brokenshard, and we are going to talk about his new role as head coach of our EU Challenger Series team. How are you doing today?
Excellent.
All right, so first, let's talk about really how you got here. You've done a lot of work in esports so far, and both as a player and some coaching in the past. So why don't you give us a quick rundown of some of the stuff, some of the highlights of your career so far, and what's led you to being
Uh,
a coach?
Started trying to be competitive in the end of season one. Um, Made LCS in the very first of LCS split ever with Dragonborns, but didn't play on the roster in the split. Made LCS again with Complexity, had visa issues, then played the last few weeks of LCS with Copenhagen Wolves. Then the team opted to. Well, I was only a sub, so they took their main jungler back. Coached Gamers 2, had issues there, so had to leave. Assisted H2K in the expansion tournament and parted ways when they made LCS. Joined SK Prime. I say that with quotations because we were only under the name SK Prime, but not actually contracted to the org, which would then be Dignitas EU in the Challenger Series, where I was the jungler, and then had issues with the head coach, so we split ways with him. And coming into this new split, I moved up to be the head coach.
Well, all right. So that's that's quite an impressive resume you have so far. Where do you think, of all those experiences, where do you think you got the most, I guess, practical experience to be a coach? Was it some of the coaching work you've done, or coach for this new team? Do you think it was the coaching work you've done before, or some of the experience you
Wa-
had as a player?
Watching Prolly taught me when I was with H2K assisting taught me a lot. And probably just talking to other coaches when I was on Gamers 2 and just in general. Ever since I left Copenhagen Wolves, I've just been talking and learning from other coaches on how they play the game, how to play the game, how they lead their teams, and what their kind of style is, and figuring
So the
it out
best
there.
experience you've gotten for coaching has just been through other coaches rather than.
Basically, yeah.
What do you
Like
think?
I never really had a particularly impressive coach, one that I could say I could really learn from. RNG did a lot of good stuff. Froskarin, she was the analyst slash co-coach for us. She did a lot of good stuff with us. When I was on CW, we had Ducky, and he was technically the coach, but didn't really wasn't really so active as much. But he did give us some good advice. So I never really got coached by like a super good coach, like super amazing coach. I
So
only
what
got like bits and pieces from different ones.
what experience do you think you can bring? I mean, I guess one of the most, a lot of coaches now are coming from being former pro players and now moving into that coaching position. Where do you think, what kind of experience do you think being a player gives you as a coach, or do you think it's relevant at all?
It can be relevant, but it's not necessary. What I feel that it helps a lot is that it helps me get into the minds of the player and have a player mindset when I'm talking to them, discussing with them, setting up schedules and strategies. It's like being almost sympathetic to the player's cause in a way, and it'll help me kind of in a way generate some level of respect since yeah, this guy's done it as a player. He knows what he's doing, so we should listen to him because he's definitely going to know something as a coach.
Yeah, so Fruskern actually mentioned in our interview with her before that you guys, she tends to do the more like macro strategy stuff, and you tend to do more micro, like individual work with the players. So is that mostly from the fact that you're a former player, or is it also do you
Yeah,
you
the
feel you guys
dynamic
just fell in that role?
the dynamic between me and Frosk is that we both generally have a good amount of say in almost everything. Like pick ban, we're both like talking about what we need to do picks and bans. General strategy and lane swaps, the entire like big picture. She's really good at stuff like that, rotations. Lane swaps, turrets, objective control, she's really good at that. When it comes to individual people, like he needs to be using, like for example, top lane needs to be using his teleport here, bot lane needs to be doing this, anything specific individual, and just facilitating the information that I'm getting from her to the players. That's my job. So like we both work with the players about the same amount, but when it comes to leading the direction and just like facilitating all the information that I'm getting from her and the other analysts that we have, I facilitate it straight to the team. So it's like a bridge almost. I'm the bridge between the coaching staff and analyst. Well, technically I'm a coach and the players in a way.
Okay, that makes sense. Are you also in charge of, I guess, like being the life coach, like getting scrim set schedules, making sure people
Uh,
are sleeping and doing that as well?
I'm close. I feel like I'm close with every single person on the team. Like everybody's super cool and chill after scrims. We just sit in the TeamSpeak server that we have, and we just like they play solo queue, they chat, they make jokes. We watch Counter Strike together. We have a lot of inside jokes and stuff. And I mean, the guys they're all pretty young. I think the oldest is Nisbeth. He's 20 years old. Um, he's the eldest of them, but everyone they're pretty young, and they're kids almost in a way. And I feel like in some situations I can be like the older brother role, which is good because in a way it gets me close to the players, but not to the point where they're just like, oh, we're all buddy buddy. They still take what I say and what me and Frost say very seriously, which is I think is really good. But the best part about being a coach for this team is like I wouldn't trade it to be a coach for almost any other team just because of the way the team atmosphere is. It's
And
fantastic.
and a lot of that comes out of the fact that you've got this kind of older brother, but also head coach role because they're
Yeah,
all a lot of
I
younger
like it.
guys.
I like it. I like. Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be younger, but they all listen to me and they all like. Everyone's happy to be where they are and they're motivated, so we all kind of share the same wavelength of energy, and it just kind of clicks.
All right. Do you think with the current state of the where do you think of the current state of the EU challenger scene? Both the teams, how Team Dignitas EU is looking, and what Riot's been recently doing. They've been, putting a lot more effort into the challenger scene to make it more of a
Yeah,
secondary league than a just feeder league for the LCS.
it's a good first step, but more needs to be done. But it's going definitely in the right direction. When it comes to the actual level of the EU Challenger Series, it's lower than it was last season. Last season we had Gamers 2, RG, us, LLL, Origin. Origins left. I feel that Copenhagen Wolves Academy, which was formerly LLL, fell off a little bit. G2 are losing a lot of their big players. RG, I mean, I never really thought that they were a super high level challenger team. We too owed them, but they got a playoff spot because we got disqualified for having underage players and not being able to field a roster for playoffs. I definitely don't feel that they're at a very high level. There are a few challenger teams right now that are good besides us. LDLC are okay. Copenhagen Hills Academy, of course, they're a lot more unpredictable than I would say. Like sometimes they can do really good, sometimes they can do really poorly. Code, which is a challenger team that kind of came out of nowhere, are okay, are pretty good. Um, Besides that, like I feel the overall level is it's good. It's good for us. Like we have probably one of the best lineups in the EU Challenger Series, which means that getting into LCS is going not I wouldn't say going to be super easy, but it's very very possible and likely for us.
So do you think one of the problems? I mean, you mentioned everyone knew Origin was just the team that was going to
They were
stop
the
the.
they were the Challenger Series super team basically.
Yeah. Do you think that right now the Challenger Series has a problem where like former LCS players are coming in with a huge advantage and then it can and like teams that have former LCS players get a bigger advantage, or do you think that's starting to get mitigated more by having like a coaching
Uh,
staff and an analyst staff?
I mean, former LCS players that are good get picked up by other LCS teams. If you're a former LCS player and you're not picked up by another LCS team, you're probably not amazing. So honestly, I don't really think that there's much of an advantage. I think people are scared of looking at new talent to the point where in the Challenger Series, new talent is what it is. It's new talent. It's raw, unbridled like energy that you can just turn and refine into something a lot better. So it's like the preparation for LCS. I can't think of any former LCS players I would be scared of to face in the Challenger Series, except for maybe Horo and Noxiac, who are
Yeah.
both from MYM. Besides that, I don't really fear any other former LCS player in the Challenger Series.
Okay. Well, I mean that's a bit of a move then because before the Challenger Series is kind of like where former LCS players went. So it seems like it's actually getting better at being a breeding ground for new talent, or do you agree?
Mm. Well, let's take a look. Let's take a look at Copenhagen Wolves Academy. None of these players ever was in the LCS, but a few other players did get offers for it. Let's take a look at Reason Gamers 2. The lineup that was there, none of these players were in the LCS ever, but some of them were close to it, so they were like at the high level. Um, RG, two of their players were in the three of their players were in the LCS. And I mean, well, they aren't exactly doing super hot. Uh, Former LCS players, obviously, that just because you don't get picked up by another team doesn't mean you're bad. It's just that um, not many have been successful enough to requalify. If that
Okay.
makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. So, and then do you have any final remarks or shoutouts for fans and viewers?
Shout outs to all the people that have been supporting Dignitas in the online tournaments that we've been playing. I've been seeing a lot of turn up, a lot of fans, a lot of people supporting us, and really excited about the lineup. And we're really excited as well to be playing and to be under Dignitas. Shout out obviously to Team Dignitas and basically helping us get the resources necessary to bring the team together and to help us fund the support staff and make us as strong as we can be. And the sponsors, Corsair, Alienware, Multiplay, Intel, EMA, Twitch, Scan, WD, and TP Link. Thanks for support, obviously. We appreciate it. I'm wearing my Dignitas jersey and my Alienware is like right there. And I got my Corsair gear right here and the Dignitas and a mouse pad as well. I got that. I'm totally not selling out, by the way, guys. And also shout out to Scan for the tournament that they ran over the weekend. That was really big for the Challenger Series. Not much going on, but it's really nice to see other organizations taking interest in it and allowing us to have tournaments. So that's about it. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Brokenshard, and thank you everyone for watching. Bye.